have people helping at our meetings. And if they're gonna help more, that's taking, worth it at $44, I think what we were charging last year. But don't pay.
Did you get any of the stuff printed off yet?
Did I get what?
Any of the stuff printed off? Did you have any luck with printing any of it?
When you're talking about the banners?
For the table?
Yeah, I called them today, I should have them tomorrow.
Recording in progress.
All right, good evening. It is now 7 o'clock. I call to order our city council meeting for Monday, November 17th, 2025. And for all those that are able to stand, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. If everyone could turn their mics on up here, make sure to speak loud and proud. Silence your cell phones. And Ms. Hogan, please take roll.
Councilmember Rounds.
Here.
Councilmember Burke.
Here.
Councilmember Dowdy.
Here.
Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Councilmember Freimark.
Here.
Councilmember Houston.
Here.
Councilmember Friend.
Here.
All right. Citizen communication for items not on the agenda. Keith is on here for Planners Days.
So we'll have our Planners Days meeting tomorrow at the VFW at 6 p.m. And we're about to wrap up the theme contest. So if you want to put in a theme, go to the planners-days.com website or come and see me, and because we're going to vote on that pretty soon, and the winner will get $100. And the dates for the event this year are June 18th through the 21st. Any questions?
I have none. Any from council? Any from the community? Did you everyone hear that?
That's Father's Day weekend this year. Is that correct?
Does it fall? Because it doesn't always fall. It seems like it does this year. Yeah, I looked at it a couple months ago, and yeah. So hopefully works out for everybody.
Yeah.
When will you be putting the applications out for Planners Day?
I believe those come out in December.
Okay.
And so we'll have our meeting tomorrow, and I'll get reminded of all the details involved. It's taken me this long to keep up with the ones I've got. The princesses part of it is. I'm glad we still have princesses, but I hear that they're excited this year, and there's quite a few that may be interested. So, any other questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for items not on the agenda? Anyone online or in the audience that would like to address council or myself? All right. Hearing none.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a first from Ms. Rounds and a second from Mr. Burke. Any questions on the agenda? Ms. Hogan.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Councilmember Burke.
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy.
Aye.
Councilmember Hall.
Aye.
Councilmember Freimark.
Aye.
Councilmember Houston.
Aye.
Councilmember Friend.
Aye.
All right, the agenda is now approved. The time is 7:03, and we'll go into a public hearing on Ordinance 1576, the 2025 Comprehensive Plan. Supporting packet is entailed here. Travis, do you want to lead us through a couple slides?
So I don't have any slides. I just wanted to give you a quick discussion about comments that we have received so far to date. So we received a comment letter from the Cowlitz tribe, who basically indicated that they supported the comprehensive plan, and they requested that we make an effort to ensure that resource surveys are completed for development. And I don't know that we need to make any changes, because we currently already require inadvertent discovery plans when a development comes in. So if they come across any kind of historic or artifacts, that they have to stop work and get an archaeologist to do a review of the site. So we are currently already doing more than they actually asked us to do. We also received comments from the Fish and Wildlife. They referred to a Washington Administrative Code, a WAC, that recommends avoiding expansion of urban growth boundary into critical areas. And since we are not asking for an urban growth boundary expansion, that'll be a discussion that we'll have to have with Cowlitz County in the future, and it depends, of course, which direction we go, because there are not necessarily critical areas south of town or to the west of town adjacent to our boundary, so it may not be an issue. They also asked us to take a look at some language for open space corridors and encouraging open space corridors and connectivity of our critical areas. And other than the Lewis River riparian area along the corridor or along the river, we don't necessarily have any riparian corridors that we would need to address. So again, I'm not sure we necessarily need to make any changes other than to acknowledge that the shoreline program does protect those critical areas. They stated they support, in our parks chapter, they support open space and recreational uses in the shorelines along the Lewis River and Horseshoe Lake. They support the environmental goals and policies, and they also recommend that we prioritize fish passage projects. But I have a feeling this is more of a boilerplate from their letter, because we don't necessarily have a lot of bridges or culvert crossings. We have a couple under 503, which are state responsibility, and then Green Mountain Road, there's a couple culverts, but those are county roads, so the city doesn't actually, we're not responsible for any bridges or culverts for fish-bearing streams. So that, again, that won't apply to us. And they did raise an issue about concern about tidal swing on the Columbia River, and they expressed similar concerns to the ones that I've raised with Cowlitz County and the Diking District, and that is the Lewis River and the Columbia River are affected by tides in the ocean, and during high tide at the ocean it does affect river level, and if the dike is not adequately prepared for sea level rise, they have a concern. But again, that is Diking District, and so they are only repeating concerns that we have already stated. So although the comments are written that it implies that we need to do that, it is already in the comprehensive plan, so we covered it already. From the Department of Natural Resources, they asked that we reference the county hazard mitigation plan. Cowlitz County adopted a revised hazard mitigation plan in 2023, and we don't list it by name, so I will go in and add that underneath our sewer plan, our water plan. So we do have plans listed in there, so I will add that to the list. That was a good catch. And then they also asked that we add a critical area maps to the comprehensive plan, and I am inclined to recommend that we not add those, simply because as development occurs and as time passes, wetlands get bigger, they get smaller, riparian corridors change as streams and rivers change. So a map could be out of date within a year or two. That's why we have GIS mapping systems, and we use the best available maps that are available to us. So I don't know that it makes sense for us to adopt a map that may be out of date. So unless you specifically want me to do that, I'm inclined to acknowledge that we use the current online mapping that's best for the city. And then the last comment we've got so far is from the Cowlitz-Waukiacum Council of Government, and the COG noted that our plan does a good job aligning with the regional transportation plan, and that they appreciate that we've integrated non-motorized plans and priorities in our comprehensive plan, and in the plan or the transportation improvement program that the city adopts. Specifically, they're talking about not only vehicles but sidewalks, bike path, and trails, and that we fully implement the regional transportation plan, and they appreciate that. and they note that they believe we are consistent with the GMA and the Regional Transportation Plan, which is important for the Department of Commerce, that they're supporting our plan. And that's all the comments we've received to date, and they will be, or 3 of the 4 are on the project page, and the 4th one will be there. I'll keep adding them as I get them.
Perfect. So sounds like a slight modification, not a major issue, just adding a little bit more information. Any questions from council or anyone in the audience about where we're at on this comprehensive plan and the process here? And I don't see anything online. All right. Anything else you want to throw out there then, Travis? Okay, the time is now 7:10, and we will leave public hearing and go to reports of standing committees. Public safety.
All right, yes, we met tonight at 5:41. In attendance, we had Chief, Councilmember Friend, and myself. Councilmember Houston was not able to make the meeting. We had a few old business to talk about. We talked about there being 2 positions still vacant, but we have a female in background checks as we speak. And she would, if gets through the process, would be part of the advanced entry. We don't have to pay for her academy. So that would be a great addition. We have a MOU due to new positions created schedule shift on our agenda tonight. And so we advise to accept that. It will make sure that unless somebody's out, at least 2 people are always manned, and sometimes there will be 3 or 4 with that mid shift as part of it. And we will not cover overtime if one of those positions are out during the mid shift, but we will if it's in the day shift or the overnight shift. So that was nice to know. We want to make sure that there's always 2 on, but the others are extra in benefits, so that's great. And then working on animal control, still currently working on that and trying to create a plan for our city. So that's what we did, and we adjourned at 5:57.
Any questions from council? Anyone from the community? Anything, Chief, that you would like to throw in there?
That's about all we talked about.
Okay. We'll get into the MOU a little bit later. I think it's a good win-win for the city and also for the officers. Good neutral conversation there. So we'll get into that. And I think, getting staffing, we'll touch that on the HR piece here. So nothing with there. HR.
Yes, we met at 6:02. In attendance was the mayor, myself, Councilmember Frymark, and Councilmember Burke. There are currently 4 open positions in our city. 2 are the police department, which we spoke of. 1 is in the process right now, so that will leave 1 open position that we still have available. Our other one is our payroll clerk, and that offer has been made. Waiting to hear back. And the utility position that we have, there's hopefully to be an offer this week. So hopefully 3 out of the 4 will be filled. So that is great. And we adjourned at 6:07. Oh, one thing about public safety, there is no December meeting for public safety.
Any questions on HR? Staffing at
No
the city?
December.
Hearing none, we'll move into the finance.
All right. Finance met this evening at 6:02 p.m. In attendance were Terry, Councilmember Rounds, Councilmember Houston, and myself. A couple of updates. We did get the funding from our investment back, so that allows us to pay off the loan on filter 2 and 3 to bring us into compliance. So that's good news. It's kind of just finalizing the vote that we had. Tonight we'll be reviewing the budget. They've been working quite a bit on getting the budget fine-tuned, so there's a couple more pieces to that we'll be reviewing tonight. Tyler Tech, which we were trying to convert to for payroll, had to be pushed off until February. There were some issues on our end and then on Tyler Tech's end that ultimately wound us up in February because they weren't able to move to December. And then wrap wrapping up. We found out that we should have some audit results from the audit that occurred by the 21st or 22nd of this month, and then there'll be some report outs on that after that happens, and then we adjourned at 6:23.
Any questions on finance? All right, moving into reports of City Council. Anything, Council?
Election's done.
Elections are over.
Yep. All right,
Think of anything.
moving into reports of advisory committees. Chamber, come on up, Keith.
Good evening. Thank you. Chamber of Commerce. The next luncheon is tomorrow, November 18th at noon at the Oak Tree Restaurant. All are welcome to attend. Representative Peter Abarno is the presenter with a legislative preview. The Woodland Chamber of Commerce annual meeting was November 4th, and we held elections and reviewed the bylaws. The Chamber Holiday Bingo event is December 3rd at the Woodland VFW. Tickets are available through the link online and in the blasts and at the Chamber website. The Chamber installation banquet is in the planning, and sponsorships are available for that. The link to nominate Woodland's Best Of is still available and is included in the email blast and also on the Chamber website. Time's running up on that, so if you have a input on that, get that in. The Visitor Center, in October, we had 77 walk-ins, six phone calls, and 456 cumulative cars in the park and ride. Visitors from Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California, New York, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Minnesota. The Johnson Ridge Observatory is still closed. Forest Learning Center and Science Center, actually the Science Center is open again now on Saturdays and Sundays. The Interpretive Center is still open, I think just on the weekends also. And call ahead for road conditions because they vary up there. We still have Forest Passes and Discover Passes available for sale. We're closed on Tuesdays, open 10 to 2 on Sunday and 10 to 4 otherwise. Any questions?
I have a question. Chamber bingo. What
Okay.
are we raising funds for with that?
Well, it's a chamber fundraiser.
It's for operations and things.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know if it was for the Christmas. I know Rotary does the Christmas packages and those things. I was just didn't know if it was tied
No,
to that.
this
so-
yeah, we're not planning on raising a whole lot of money, but it's so we can have a fun bingo night.
Okay. No worries. I just didn't know if there was a tied to a charity event. Okay.
All right.
Any questions for Keith and the chamber? All right. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Adonica, downtown revitalization.
Good evening, everybody. Things are going really well. We're working very hard on Winterfest. That's December 6th from 1 to 7. We've gotten some sponsorships. So Bell Studios has offered to take family and Santa photos for us for free. So we're really encouraging all families to come down and enjoy. And I know you'll be enjoying families coming in for the holidays and stuff. So we want to make sure everybody knows we have a bingo competition. Not bingo, excuse me, chili cook-off. That's one of the entertainments that we have, and there is forms that you can fill out and register online. Then we have a lottery that'll be going, lottery tickets that you can buy, raffle tickets. It'd be nice if they were lottery, but they're raffle tickets. And you can either buy them with $1 or bring 2 cans of canned food. We'll be doing a food drive as well. So we've got some great gifts that'll be handed out every hour on the hour. It's going to be incredibly beautiful to come and walk through. We'll have vendors inside and out of 100 Davidson. We're gearing up to make sure that the whole event is held at the top by the plaza. Instead of having to go down to see Santa down into the dark and into the park, we're going to be able to keep everything up. Yes.
Are you gonna have the street closed in front of there?
Yes. Yeah. We've already got all of that set up through the city to be closed. And then, of course, the decorations are going to be over the top. So we'll have a DJ. We're going to have music playing the whole time. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. And if you just look on the social media pages or any of the advertising, it'll show you everything. But there is quite a bit going on and a lot of excitement building up. So we're very excited about that. Anybody?
What are the hours? Like when is it starting?
It starts at 1, and depending on how the photos are going and how many people show, we intend for it to be over at 7. They may have to continue to do some photos while we start picking up a little, but just depends on how many folks come in. Okay. Anybody else?
So this may be a question for you or for the city, but with our new building, are we going to do any decorating of that building as it leads to downtown for that night or for the holiday season?
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know about the city. Our location for the event is downtown at 100 Davidson. We do have a banner at the Civic Center out front advertising Winterfest. And there's some lights and stuff going on. And that's, I think, primarily everything's being gauged down where the street will be closed because that's going to be the safest for everybody. But I don't know how to answer the rest of
Again,
that.
that's a city building. I mean, so not picking on our, downtown revitalization. So this will be a city decision. Riley's kind of giving me this look because he knows how I feel about lights. Him and I haven't had a direct conversation on this.
We do plan on putting lights on the Civic Center, so those are in the process of being installed.
Okay.
Good answer, Riley. Good answer.
Great. Thank you.
Can I go
I was
sit down
hoping
now?
No, I
Shots
just didn't want
fired.
the community or somebody to think that it was downtown revitalization
I
who
know.
was doing
That's
their
why I said
decision.
kind of
And
both.
that's why I was.
Yeah. We're not doing those decorations. Yeah. The city's done a great job in the past years putting lights on the bathrooms and everything too. So they really help with all the blow ups and all the festivities. Comes out nice.
And they line the Christmas tree up that day?
Oh yeah, the Christmas tree lighting will happen. Santa will come
comes to
in.
town.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I just didn't know how much you wanted me to go all down the list. But yeah, there's all kinds of activities. Santa arriving, and he'll be the one to light the tree. And yeah, there's a lot of good things. Okay.
All right. Any other questions from anyone online or in the community? Dawn.
When you said Bell Studios is taking Santa pictures for free, does that mean the pictures are free to the community, or they're donating their services for free?
The way
People pay for the photos.
they do not pay for the photos.
They'll give you free digital.
They're yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying, Dawn?
Free
So,
digital.
correct.
Gotcha, thank you.
They're not going to print them out and hand them to people. It's
Right,
a free
right.
digital copy.
Awesome.
One more question. Are there going to be any food trucks? I know you said vendors, but is there going to be food down there
There
like
will.
there was last year?
There is.
Okay.
There's a couple of different food trucks, and then there's also vendors that are offering things that they make, and different goodies and food as well. So
Okay, perfect.
yeah, there's quite a bit down there that's going to be coming in.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Adonica. Have a great night. With that, we'll move into the mayor's report. Real quickly, upcoming events. First, there's a planning commission meeting on the 20th of November next week. Thanksgiving, the offices are closed for Thursday and Friday, the 27th, 28th. Then we'll have a city council meeting on the 1st of December. And then Winterfest, as Adonica said, on the 6th. We'll be downtown, and that's a City of Woodland co-sponsored event. So yes, the streets will be closed. If we need it based on the budget discussion, we will have a city council meeting on the 8th of December, and then our regularly scheduled meeting on the 15th of December. Couple things that I want to touch on. We can get into these in the budget, or we can kind of touch on them here in the mayor's message piece. As we get to the budget, I want people in the community to think about things and what we've done and what these individuals are over here. One of the sheets that we'll get to shows that our fund balances is roughly 15 million and it's growing to 21 million. What I've done here, and I've taken out all of our impact fees for transportation, so transportation, the fire, the park, because again, we've had a one-time benefit that we keep talking about that says, hey, we have this large fund, we're not gonna go just willy-nilly it, we're gonna sit there with it. So that's the reason, one, why it's growing to 21 million. But if you reduce that out of what I started with, we did in 2024, January, there's only a couple of you that were over here in January. And then if you go to what we're projecting for December of 2025, apples to apples, it's an increase of about $2.2 million in our reserves. We've grown our reserve funds about a little over 10% in 2 years. We will get that into the budget here, but as part of the mayor's message, I want to look at these people over here and say thank you. I know it's not the easiest sometimes, getting direction and saying no, we're not spending, but you guys have really stepped up to the plate now. As we get to Thanksgiving, I want to say thank you to all of you as a management team for everything you've done. Any questions, we will get into that, but that is my mayor's message today, is thanking these 5 people. Okay? Questions, comments on that?
For upcoming events, we also have Turkey Bingo and
Correct.
Snowflake Bazaar this Saturday.
Good point. That is the 20th, or not the 20th,
22nd.
the 22nd. Thank you, on Saturday. Doors open at 5 p.m. at the high school for Turkey Bingo. And the bazaar opens, I believe, at 10 a.m. at the high school, 9 a.m. at the high school as well.
Gotta get there at 4 for the bingo.
So, all right. Okay, moving into consent items. Consent item B, approve the minutes of November 3rd, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any comments or questions from the community or anyone online about the minutes from November 3rd? Ms. Hogan.
Councilmember Friend,
Aye.
Councilmember Houston,
Aye.
Councilmember Freimark,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Moving into action items. Action item C, approve vouchers November 1st half 2025.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a first from Mr. Burke and a second from Ms. Rounds. Any questions or comments on any charges from council or anyone on the community about our spending for the first half of November? Ms. Hogan.
Councilmember Houston,
Aye.
Councilmember Friend,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Freimark.
Aye.
Going back to that, I know that just passed. I do want to point out there is a check this pay cycle that is for $1.3 million. That is us paying off filters 2 and 3 up at the water. So that is a little bit less debt that we as a city will be taking on. So that is in the cycle. Moving into action item D, ordinance 1581, fixing the amount to be provided by ad valorem taxes upon the property in the city of Woodland in 2026 and approving an ordinance summary for publication as more particularly set forth herein. Second and final reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a first from Mr. Burke and a second from Ms. Rounds. Any comments or questions from the community? This here is making it so that we are not increasing our property taxes as allowed by statute. We are keeping dollars the same, dollars collected. Again, your property taxes may adjust based on your assessment, which is at the assessor's office, but total dollars collected by the city will remain flat.
So, I have a question. So if we don't do that now, they can do that down the road if they want to, right?
You can bank it up to, I believe, three years in arrears. Again, yep.
Okay.
And that does require
Council 100% council
approval,
approval.
not voter approval though, just council.
No, it's totally 100% council approval. And I will just make myself clear. I've got 2 more years of doing this budget. 2 more years, you will see property taxes remain flat. I will look to these 5 over here and say, let's find reductions if we really have to. All right? Questions or comments on that? Ms. Hogan.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds,
Aye.
Councilmember Friend,
Aye.
Councilmember Frymark,
Aye.
Councilmember Houston.
Nay.
Okay. Moving into action item E, ordinance number 1576, 2025 comprehensive plan, first reading.
Motion to approve?
Second.
So I have a first from Ms. Dowdy, a second from Ms. Rounds on the comprehensive plan. Any comments or questions from the community or city council on our proposed comprehensive plan that Travis has gone over the last 6 months on?
I just want to say good job, Travis. Thank you.
With that, Ms. Hogan?
Councilmember Friend,
Aye.
Councilmember Frymark,
Aye.
Councilmember Houston,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Moving into action item F, authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with public safety testing.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a first from Ms. Dowdy, a second from Mr. Burke. Comments or questions from council? This is our testing that the police department does as we get new officers as part of our,
Training.
just slipped my mind, what is the committee? Ms. Hogan?
Civil
Thank you.
Service.
Thank you, Chief. Way to bail me out. Part of the civil service, so. Any questions or comments on this one here? And this is included in our 2025 budget with these new dollars. Ms. Hogan?
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds,
Aye.
Councilmember Houston,
Aye.
Councilmember Frymark,
Aye.
Councilmember Friend.
Aye.
Okay, moving into action item G, authorize the mayor to sign an interlocal agreement with Cowlitz County District Court for 2026 through 2029 fees.
Make a motion to approve our action item G.
Second.
I have a first from Ms. Rounds, a second from Mr. Houston. Any comments or questions here? These are for us to use our, Mr. Fryer, but 1 sec. So this here is the court cost for us using the courts in Cowlitz County. We don't have our own courts here, and there is as a set fee. Mr. Frymark.
These fees are going up 50% thereabouts.
Correct.
In 3 years.
Correct. And we have had numerous conversations with them. It's an allocated, all of Cowlitz County is sharing the burden here. So I don't see any of our Cowlitz County commissioners here. One of the things that some of them ran on and we had previous discussion with was how did we want to handle some of our drug courts and some of those things, because again, that has been a burden and an additional cost here. I've had numerous conversations with our county commissioners of how do we reduce the cost burden that is the city is paying here. These dollars here are included in our 2026 budget at this rate, and obviously we will use this same schedule for 2027 and 2028.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions about these court fees?
I mean, I guess just to be clear, there's no alternative. We, this is just what we have to do.
There is not, and so, I mean, if you look at several of these things, and again, now you're gonna get me in my soapbox of, you know, me and my political views. Government should be small. Some of these things is the chief is sitting there going, I hear this from him all the time, is why are we adding more clerical, you know, court clerks? Why have we added additional court? That is just a cost to us and our taxpayers here. One of the questions that we did ask, and I haven't seen a response back, maybe Chief has the answer, and it came in today and I missed the email, was what is our burden to the courts? Have we seen more individuals going for court, you know, for violations? And I don't think I saw an email come back on that, Chief.
No, I'm still waiting for answers, but I'm still harassing them until I get one, so.
So, just to give you a perspective of what we're working on here. So, any other questions or comments on that? Ms. Hogan?
Councilmember Rounds,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Frymark,
Aye.
Councilmember Houston,
Aye.
Councilmember Friend.
Aye.
Moving into action item H, authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with the Woodland Police Officers Association for modification of patrol shifts for 2026 and 2027.
Motion to approve action item H.
Second.
I have a first from Ms. Dowdy, a second from Mr. Houston. So just to be clear here, this is a MOU that the chief and the guild worked on together. This gives us better protection in the sense of better patrols, more officers in the morning and the evening shift, and it helps us with some of our overtime issues. Anything that you would like to throw in there, Chief?
No.
You're doing great.
Any questions from the community or anyone on council related to this MOU here? For transparency, this was on the agenda here 2 weeks ago, I believe. We pulled it from there. Chief wanted to think through some things and came back with a different little bit of variety to it. And this is the proposal, and it actually is working out better between the guild and the city. So that is the reason it was pulled previously, is the chief had a little bit of modification. Okay. Oh, Mr. Frymark.
Question for you, Chief. Your stamp of approval?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Hogan.
Councilmember Friend,
Aye.
Councilmember Houston,
Aye.
Councilmember Frymark,
Aye.
Councilmember Hall,
Aye.
Councilmember Dowdy,
Aye.
Councilmember Burke,
Aye.
Councilmember Rounds.
Aye.
Okay, moving into workshop. It is now 7:36, and we will move into a budget workshop. Okay. I was going to say, so back to what we talked about here 2 weeks ago, letting the leaders over here go through their budgets. They need to own it. They need to fully represent and buy into this. This is not something that we certainly have a strong opinion of about it. We do when I sit here with them, but I want to make sure that they own it and fully are supportive and buying into it. So we're that direction this year of having them do their budgets. Tonight is Public Works, and after that, Terry will go through the clerical piece, the front administrative offices, and then we will have a little summary of everything of what it all rolls up to. Because again, we've talked about a balanced budget, but we're using a different terminology of balance in the sense our reserves are going up, we are underspending. So a balance means that we'd be spending exactly to our revenues, and we've worked really hard this year to spend underneath those revenues. So with that, Riley?
Yes, so I dropped off hard copies to all the council members earlier, so you have one in front of you. This is the Public Works 2026 budget. It's very preliminary. We are making adjustments daily on a few adjustment numbers here and there to kind of fine tune the budget to where everything works. We've gone through budget bars codes this year. Amanda and Terry worked pretty hard on kind of consolidating some bars codes so we don't have a lot of miscellaneous bars codes, and it's very confined and condensed. But I just kind of wanted to show a little bit of our revenues and expenditures for our individual departments. This one shows revenues for the park fund. As you can see, the contributions from general fund make up the majority of the park fund. So park fund does not make a whole lot of revenue. The revenue expenditure for 2026 is about $17,000 from our rentals. The remaining of that is from the general contribution fund. The key deposits, about $16,000, those are all going to be refunded, so those will be in our expenditures. This kind of just shows a little bit of high-level overview of where the funds actually come to fund the parks. When we talk about doing different fund projects out of parks, we just have to keep in mind that the general fund is what funds all those projects. So we try to keep that transfer from the general fund light, so we keep the bare minimum in park fund that we absolutely need. And I encourage any kind of conversation or questions that you might have as we go along. So.
And when we think about rentals, just remember that is the red shelter, the visitor center, the community center, and the old library.
What
That
about
is in the parks.
What about the covered area horseshoe? Not the red building, but the smaller one. Do they have to pay to rent that?
No, the gazebo?
No.
No,
Yeah.
not the gazebo. There's the other one with the picnic tables underneath it.
Oh, yes, yes, that is rentable
Okay.
space.
You say the visitor center.
By this playground.
Yeah,
The
that's-
cover shelters are not rentable. They're free for all because we don't have the manpower to man them. What was happening in the past is people who rented them, people ended up being there and it became this whole conflict of issues. So we said first come, first serve for those.
Did you say visitor center?
Correct.
Civic Center.
Civic center,
Civic
sorry.
Oh, civic.
Civic center.
Okay.
My bad.
So then we'll move into park expenditures. You can kind of see an overview. The biggest key out of the expenditures is the salaries and benefits. That takes a large portion. And then you have your individual expenditures, rentals, repairs, maintenance, miscellaneous. Horseshoe Lake Management is lake testing. Rental deposits, that's where we do our key deposits. A small equipment fund. This just kind of shows a high level. Fuel, utilities, and communications is our next biggest expenditure. That's watering, normal day-to-day, keeping our parks and equipment nice. So we do have some aging equipment in our parks that we're constantly replacing. We've had 2 pieces of equipment in 2025 that have failed. Those are about $6,000 a piece for those child play equipment. They have to be sold by a certain provider that's certified. So we're going to be looking at replacing a couple of those pieces of equipment in 26 as well. So. Next we'll move into the street fund. Street fund, you'll see a contribution from general fund. That is also another fund that is pretty much solely funded by the general fund. So we try to keep expenditures in this area light. You'll see a grant that we have on there for South Pekin pedestrian sidewalk and bike lane. Those are taken in as revenues and they're also expenditures. So you'll have a 1-to-1 match for revenue and expenditures on that. Permits and fees, we have a small portion of those that come in as revenue. And then fuel tax of about $105,000 is what we're estimating for 26. So those all kind of contribute, but same as park, street is also pretty much funded by the general fund, so we try to keep those very light. And same thing with expenditures. You'll see second largest section there is for salaries and benefits, and then the number 1 largest is for that grant project that we were working on. That is 1-for-1 in and out again, but that just kind of shows our grant projects. Same thing with our street lights. Street lights are getting very expensive for decorative lights, so we expect to replace about 3 to 4 of those per year from vehicle accidents. We get a lot of non-insured motorists that are hitting those nowadays, so very expensive to replace.
You all know when we talk about the decorative street lights, the ones down Main Street, they also are down Davidson, and also the ones that go out past the new library. To be specific, the last ones that we bought were about $16,000, $17,000 each. Wow. And again, if they're uninsured, that goes on to us. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
we can do collections with them, and they're paying, restitution at $100 a year, which takes us for years. So
Yeah.
that's what that is. Jason.
Question. So I noticed you've got the Pekin project on here, but not Gun Club. Isn't that also happening in 26?
Yeah,
Same
so-
kind of situation.
Yep, Gun Club is actually happening in 26 as well. That's under its own project code. So we're about $1.4 million in expected revenue and expenditures in that same line item. So that's kind of broke out from streets because it's such a large grant project that we wanted to track that on its own and not kind of commingle with streets.
Okay.
So this is, South Pekin is a smaller project, so we figured we could throw it in underneath streets. If there was it's still in the engineering phase, so there might be some professional services that needs to happen. So we wanted to make sure it was wrapped up into a part, under streets that we could pull those professional services from.
Okay. Thank you.
And then we get into water revenues. So total water revenues that we're expecting in 2026 is about $3,078,000. That is with a 13.6% increase. We do have quite a large area of that that's actually going to go into reserves at the end of the year if it's not expenditured in 2026. But that's kind of our largest area. We do have some utility deposits and meter costs in there for revenue. One thing that I'd like to point out for our 2026 budget is we are going to be looking at the SR 503 water line replacement for the engineering costs. We've had a lot of new developments on 503 Lewis River Road that's kind of taken up a lot of that water line replacement. We have a large AC water line that runs from the Lewis River roundabout next to the corner store and runs all the way out past North Fork Elementary. That line's in failure. We need to do some engineering. WashDOT is planning to resurface Lewis River 503 within the next 5 years. So we need to get that engineering complete and get that project in the book so we can get that completed before they do the paving. If they do the paving prior, it's going to be about another 5 to 7 years before we can dig that back up and do the replacement on it. So I just kind of wanted everyone to understand that that's what that $340,000 is just for the engineering costs. So we're hoping to have the engineering completed in 26 and then go after grant applications in 27 for replacement. Next slide. So expenditures, this is just kind of a high overview of water expenditures and BARS codes. There's a lot more BARS codes in here. I just kind of wanted to pull the larger amounts. Obviously you can see the number one is going to be salaries and benefits. Repairs and maintenance is another large item. Water, anywhere from plant maintenance to underground distribution utilities. That's a huge cost on a year-to-year basis. Our next one there is the rainy well cleaning. So we're setting $200,000 aside for the rainy well cleaning every year, and we expect to approach that project for the next rainy well cleaning in 27, 28. So we want to make sure we have funds set aside in reserves every year to complete that project and not have it be an unfunded project when we go to complete that. That's needs to be cleaned about every 5 to 7 years, so we need to keep funds headed in that direction. Anything else up there? There's kind of a mixture of items. So our water fund funds not only our treatment plant, reservoirs, but it also funds our distribution side. So all water line replacement, hydrants, any kind of water testing. Everything that's included in water is included in this fund for expenditures. A lot of our street crew runs off of water expenditures, so they'll run in the distribution as well. So streets is kind of partial water, partial sewer, partial streets. They kind of do a little bit of everything. So those are also the salary and benefits portion kind of runs into our street department as well. And here's our sewer.
So I have a question, just to maybe refresh my memory. The new water meters that some of us got to try.
Yes.
Are they going into all the new builds?
Yeah, so all the new builds are getting the new Badger meters. We have about 197 meters as of last Friday that are actually in the ground and being utilized. And those will continue to be used in all new development and all replacement water meters throughout the city.
And so if you have one of those meters, do they still get read by the meter reader, or do they skip those addresses?
They skip those addresses. So we're actually saving money by not having the meter readers read those meters. So that's a nice caveat to it. But we can actually pull those reads in-house at any time. So we know exactly on the 15th of each month, we pull those readings and pull the Excel report, and we send those to Minol for the billing portion.
So I'm sure that for the new ones, those are billed into all the fees that they pay up front. Their meter's kind of included with that. But as we replace that, is any of that in these expenditures?
So it is. So when they get put in, that is covered under the cost of the new Badger meters. The expenditure, it's about the same cost for the meter itself as what we were paying for Master Meter and compared to the Badger meter.
Okay.
Mostly the cost comes in the cellular use at the endpoint. So we do pay a fee on a monthly basis for that endpoint to be able to read those meters.
I think what she was asking, yes, we do. We have a run rate of certain meters that fail or have to be replaced every year. And so, yes.
So it's in the budget for
correct,
those meters.
It's in the budget. And all we're doing is instead of using a standard meter, now we're using one of these AMR meters.
Yeah, we do have about $95,000 this year in 2026 allocated for the Badger meter transfer. We're expected to be in that transition for about 4 to 5 years until we're 100% transferred over to Badger meter.
Oh, and only in about 5 years, you
Yeah.
think everybody, that's fantastic.
Director?
And the new meters, they have to be changed more often?
So
10 years?
So they actually have a ground life of 25 years. They have a
25?
full replacement of 15 years. So if they go out within 15 years, we get 100% of the replacement cost.
I think Mr. Frymark had a.
Are these battery operated?
They are battery operated.
And the longevity of the battery?
Is 25 years.
Wow, we bought the wrong meter.
Yeah. So you have to think too, the only time the battery is actually being used is when it's actually sending that data point to us. So it's a very long battery life and a very small amount of battery usage that every time that thing pings and sends us a usage notice. So sewer revenues, we're expected about 2.3 million in sewer revenues, and that's with the increase in the rate structure. This just kind of shows sewer sales, taxes. The Waltz meets sewer repair and capacity. That's actually labeled incorrectly. That was a carryover from a past BARS code. So that is actually going to be in professional services. That 681,000 is the engineering for the new biosolids tank at the wastewater facility. That's currently in engineering with Gibson Olson for some preliminary survey work and estimated costs. So you'll see that kind of getting off the ground in 2026 and hopefully move to build out end of 26, early 27. You'll see kind of a new storage facility there at the wastewater plant. We have a small amount of investment interest in miscellaneous. And the expenditures kind of the same as water. It's kind of spread out. Again, streets uses this as working on their collections, lift stations as well. Professional services, that 721,000 is included in that engineering service work of 680. There's some other professional services in there for the Summer Hill inspections that we're currently having work completed on our old West Side sewer collection system. That's also going to roll into 2026. So some of those expenditures were also included in that. But as far as projects for sewer next year, we're looking at the biosolids tank and completing the sewer inspection project. Now, one thing I'd like to also add in this budget, we actually have in water and sewer splitting half the cost. We've included purchase of a new vac truck. So right now we use Vector services. They cost us a lot of money every time that we send them out to clean out a lift station. Unfortunately, when they come out and they clean out one of our lift stations, when it goes into a third-party vehicle, when they suck it out, they can no longer discharge it back into our sewer plant. So it's a third-party issue at that point. If we get our own vac truck, we can actually suck out our own material and deliver it back to our own sewer facility. So we save costs. We spend a lot of money on overtime costs of the drivers running back and forth to Portland. And it also helps with our stormwater infrastructure, cleaning out stormwater catch basins, infiltration dishes. So that's actually built into this budget this year for 2026. So that's about a $380,000 purchase. It's a very large purchase. That'll obviously come back to council for final approval in 2026 to make that. But I just kind of want everybody to be aware that that is actually built into this budget, and we are coming in the positive for reserves for 2026. So stormwater fund, it's pretty self-explanatory. Stormwater fees are the only thing that contribute to stormwater. Thank goodness we have stormwater fees because we have a lot of stormwater catch basins that need to be repaired. If we go to expenditures, so repairs and maintenance is about 90,000. Each one of our dry wells that we replace, we try to do about 3 to 4 of those per year. They'll run anywhere from 25 to 30,000. We've started using some more prefab materials that kind of decrease those costs, but those take up the majority of the stormwater expenditures. There's a few small expenditures in there, mine all, and rentals of equipment. Sometimes we have to rent some specialty equipment to try to get those repairs completed. But with a vac truck in 2026, it'll make those repairs a lot more costly, and a lot less overhead for outside resources as labor and overtime. So very excited to get that piece of equipment online with the city. Then I wanted to just throw this in when we were talking about a rate structure at our last meeting. I wanted to give kind of a visual of the reason why we could reduce the rate increases, the amount that we did. So this is water assessment reserves. All new developments pay into SDC charges, and those SDC charges do not go into our general fund for water and sewer. They go straight into our reserves. As you can see, in 2023, we made about 80,000, the line's breaking it up.
80,750.
80,750, and then we hit the boom of the new developments. And then in 2024, we put about 420,000 into our reserves. In 2025, about 631. So those are a large amount that are contributing to our reserve funds, is the reason why we could keep those rate structures as low as we did and keep those on a decent increment rate. Now in 2026, we like to presume a lower increase than what we have seen. We like to project low and hopefully end up high. So we're expecting about 630,000 in 2026. We're probably going to meet that or well exceed it, but we just like to keep those targets low. But gives kind of a good idea of where those assessment fees are coming from and a general idea of what our reserves are looking like year over year. Now this is not total reserves. This is just what's been contributed by those assessment fees per year. The next slide shows the sewer assessments. Same thing in 2023, about 68,000, 24, 440,000, and 2025, 781,000. So those assessment fees are gaining momentum. Like Todd mentioned earlier, these are a one-time fee, so we expect to spend those wisely. These are not something that's going to happen continuously in the future unless the city expands. But so we need to keep those reserves and use them diligently. And then the next slide here is the 2025 grant applications. Now this does not include the grant that we already received for Gun Club. It's going to be project is moving forward the end of this year and moving into 2026. So we applied for the Davidson Avenue, Gorg Street to 5th Street grind and overlay. That's the main downtown corridor. We also applied for the Davidson Avenue, 5th Street to BNSF Tracks, another grind and overlay project. And then the South Beacon Road to Marty Loop to South City Limits. That's kind of catching off of the grant that we received this year for that grant, or the grind and overlay. This will continue that out to city limits. The South Beacon to city limits, sidewalk and bike lane, and grind and overlay of the fog line, that has been received and is moving forward. That's the one that we've budgeted for, but we'll receive those funds in 2026. So talking with the TIB, we look pretty well for getting all three of those grants in 2026.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
Is that for the lake side of South Beacon, right? To do sidewalk and stuff on the lake
Yes.
side? Okay.
Yep, on the lake side. We're currently working with DNR on some right-of-way acquisition and some temporary easement.
Doing anything with Walt's Meat since they're going to have that exposed for their sewer line or not?
So the sewer line is a whole nother animal. That's actually going to be, when we do that sewer line project, it's actually going to be in the roadway itself, so it's going to be outside of the confines of this project. But we are looking at that sewer line replacement in the near future. Any other questions on the grant projects, Melissa?
Well, not necessarily on the ones listed. So I have a question for you. With
Mhm.
all of our park impact fees, I know that we've started collecting a lot more because of all the housing that's going in. Is any of that been thought of or going to be put towards the splash pad, or are there any grants out there that we can obtain to get the splash?
Yes, there is plenty of grants out there that we can go after a splash pad. Right now, we're in the process of redoing Park Road to make it into a nice parking lot. Once we have the actual infrastructure in place for actual parking area and pedestrian crossing, we'll look at isolating that splash pad area to building a splash pad. So we expect to go into construction in 2026, late 2026, early 2027 on that parking lot. And once that's established, we're going to be, you'll actually see the design here in the next couple meetings where we actually isolate a spot, and part of the initial grading is getting that splash pad area nice and graded out for future expansion. So.
Great, thank you.
But all of that parking lot will all be RCO grant and local match funds. So.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions for Riley from anyone online or?
Great job.
Are we gonna be doing anything to Park Street? I noticed the road's kinda crappy.
To Park Street, I would love to do stuff to Park Street. Unfortunately, we did a mastic work this in 2025. We did a mastic overlay on some of the deeper ruts. Side streets within the city of Woodland are hard to get. There's no grants opportunities for those little side streets. Those are going to have to be fully funded from the street department every year. So we are looking at different opportunities to kind of do some grading and do some small grind and overlay projects. But unfortunately, there's no real grant opportunities for side streets and less use roadways. That's why we always get projects for, you know, North Pekin, Gun Club, more of those centralized roadways. That's one of those things where we look and we have the engineering completed to know what the stormwater looks like, because a lot of those side roads have horrible stormwater capacity, and when you redo the roadway, you have to address those stormwater capacity issues, or the road just falls apart. So that's what kind of drives the cost of those smaller street projects. A lot of new development drive half-street improvements, and that's where there's a lot of new development on Park Street that'll do that half-street improvements, and then once those are completed, we'll come in and do the remainder of that in the future.
Any other questions or comments? There are a couple comments online from Joseph McMinn, but obviously they're not able to be shared here. So I want him acknowledged that at least I read them. Okay? So, any other questions, comments before I turn it over to Terry? All you, Terry.
Hello, everyone. I just kind of wanted to go over some of the.
Terry.
We can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear me? Sorry. How
There
about
you
I do that?
Yep,
Does that work
thank
better?
you.
My voice is usually so loud. I just kind of wanted to give an overall budget view, and then we'll move into the general fund. So I'll just hit this next here. So what you see on the left side is by fund, a little bit of detail of the beginning balances, our revenues that we expect, and the expenditures that we expect with an ending total budget balance by fund. That was us working together with the whole group to get that sorted out. In the middle section there, you'll see it's 2025 year to date, which that was pulled at the end of October. And on the far right is actuals for year end 2024. So you can kind of see we're not too far off on this spreadsheet. It's a little bit small. Sorry about that. But I want to point out at the very bottom down there what Todd was talking about earlier with the actual activity that we're doing. If you look, we're going to be about the same as prior years. We're going to be running about 5 million or so of activity that we'll be doing for net. Just the revenues and the expenses. This is the entire budget broken out by fund to kind of show you who takes up most of the fund. The general fund has a large portion there, the big green one. And then we have then it's going to be the park is the brown one, and then it just kind of dwindles from there. Or not park, it's water. Water has the other big budget. this is the breakdown of that chart you just saw. This one is the overview, kind of at a higher level, to just kind of show the budget numbers from year to date, current year to date, and then 2024 actuals. So you have a view year over year, and I created a chart to show you how that looks, so it's a little easier to read. The blue is our predicted budget, and then our year to date is the orange, and then 2024 is the gray. To kind of show you how the funds are doing year over year. And then the general fund, which is the one that I believe I do most of the monitoring on that one. So this is the estimated revenues of the general fund. So you can see that big, long, huge blue line there is our tax. It's the property right now, our sales tax. That's our sales tax that came in. Everything else is a little smaller than that, but you can see it's the sales tax that is our major revenue for the general fund. And for expenditures, that big, huge gray line, PD falls under the general fund, so that would be our police officer's salary budget right there. And some of the other larger lines would be their equipment, their cars, and things like that. We try to keep the general fund expenditures really low as we can, because we do cover the police department and other areas that are smaller too. Where did it go? Okay, well, do you guys have any questions?
Do you have the, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, where do the utility taxes come in? Is that in here?
Yep, what's that line?
Which one? It's hard to read.
I just saw it down here.
I thought it's.
So we have gray, we have telephone tax, we have water public utility tax, we have stormwater public utility tax, we have all of those that are individually. So we put them to separate accounts.
Okay, so we charge utility tax on phones.
Correct.
Now the garbage is gonna be billed to that company.
We get the tax on the garbage though
We
still.
still get that?
Correct. It doesn't matter who does it. Just like mine all does the billing for our water and sewer, we get the utility tax on that. Yep.
And what is it at, 12%?
I don't think it's 12%. I believe I'll have to pull that up. You know that offhand, Amanda. What are
1 second. Yes, I do.
It's less than our sales tax.
So for garbage utility tax, it's 12.5%, and then 3.6%. That is required by state, and that 100% of that tax we collect goes to the state. The city doesn't keep it. And then recycling utility tax is 12.5%. So actually, all the utility taxes are at 12.5%.
Just curious, Terry, if it would be possible to get this in like a table format. It's really difficult to try to tie the left to the right on this. Just because I'm trying to match up what the colors are.
Yeah, I know.
Sure, I can provide that for you. It's large, but I can provide that for you.
Yeah.
It's a long list.
Because I mean, even if it were just like no chart, just kind of the line item and then the
Sure.
total.
Yeah.
Sure, I can get that for you guys, no problem.
So where does like the mayor and city council fall in any of our trainings and such?
Oh, they're really tiny little lines that don't even scoot over there a little bit.
What would it be under though? Like what category is it under?
General fund.
General fund, yeah.
So everyone lives in pretty much in the general fund.
Here, let me walk over to the screen, I'll show you something.
Like,
It's in the general fund under general government.
Should be government.
Correct. There's a
well,
16.
is it the Association of Washington Cities?
No, that is something else.
That's just different.
This is the government portion.
Right.
PD,
But I didn't see anything in the government that talks about,
salaries and benefits is where it falls.
I don't see it on here. Am I missing it? Because I do not see it on here, nor do I see anything with training and stuff like that on
Well,
there for us.
I think we can ask the question, are we budgeting anything for the council to go to the classes, the AWC meetings, and the training?
So that budget has been kept flat year over year.
Yeah.
We typically have offered up
I don't
one
have
person to go over to Spokane for the training. Again, it's not meant to be a boondoggle. It's not something to go, if you're going to go get some value out of it and come back and present to us, okay, let's have a conversation. But again, I mean, spending $1,200, $1,300 somebody to Spokane, and if we're not getting something out of it.
No, we're talking about when the AWC comes around, the meetings come around.
And that's
usually
that's
the whole
$75
council
charge.
goes, because the council wants to learn what's going on in this state and what we can observe.
And that still is in there. There's a budget. We have $1,500, I believe, in there for each of,
I think we need
you know,
to up
if
it.
you all wanna go.
I think we need to up it.
So AWC this year, we're actually one of the host sites. So if you want to attend, you need to let me know because I get a discount and half of the council members are free because we are a host site.
So I asked that because I know a couple of years ago
Send
we
me an
went
email.
up to Olympia and did a big training, and there was quite a few of us that went. But it was very pertinent to issues we were talking about with housing and everything else that we aren't getting if we're not going to them. And so I'm asking if there's a budget, because I know that.
There is that budget, and if somebody wants to go.
Well, and that's, I mean, I know when Amanda before, like, we would get reminders, hey, this is coming up, anybody interested, let me know, like.
Are you not on the ACW or AWCS?
No, I get the AWC emails, but before, Amanda was really good about saying, anybody interested, things like that, and I think sometimes we get a lot of emails between all of our personal emails, our city emails, like, ones that are really big, I think maybe a little bit more push, because a lot of people up here are newer, that I think for them to be able to see a little bit more of the workings and what's going on, it was very helpful to me when I went.
The two main ones we have for council members, there's a bunch of other small ones like MRSC puts on, like, but those are all webinars you can attend online at home, which are great. The AWC one's a huge one, which is good for new council members just because it kind of goes over some of the rules and then some changes. For old existing council members, you can go to those and might pick up some more information you didn't have before. But the other big one is the legislative one, which is up in Olympia.
Right, that's
And
the one I'm talking about.
$1,500 is more than enough to cover the cost of it.
Okay.
Because we get the government rate for the hotel, but the second those dates come out, I need to know right away because they book up fast.
Right.
And there's only like a allotted amount of spots.
Perfect, thank you.
Are the lodging tax numbers in this tax list?
Yeah, that's an LTAC.
Yeah, 107, Fund 107 is the lodging tax, and the lodging tax committee budgeted 65,000 in total to spend. And so just for this year, we've only received 59,000, and last year we committed to 70,000 in LTAC dollars. We did have a little bit of reserves. We had to dip into about $10,000 into reserves. So each year we're dipping into reserves, and it's slowly going away.
And it's not necessarily reserves that is from LTAC. There were monies put in there from interest earnings that should not have been put in there. So that's why there's that reserve sitting there. We don't get the LTAC funds until after the money's been distributed. So when we're overestimating and giving out LTAC funds that we don't receive, we're always going to be digging into a hole.
So do we have any kind of reserve for errors that we make with LTAC dollars?
LTAC dollars are like straight across dollars. So the city can opt to charge the lodging tax, and that's from your hotels, motels, and RV parks. And it depends on the activity that they're getting in order for us to get the tax, and the tax then gets redistributed per the LTAC RCWs, which usually go out back to the community for use.
So, hold on one
We don't
second.
make any revenue off of them.
So, when we say is there any reserve, so we have $93,000 that sits there, correct? Currently, I should say. So call it 90,000. We project 65,000 in revenue. We project 65,000 to give out. Last year we said we were going to give out 70. We've collected 58,000 so far. So that goes against that, call it $30,000 reserve that's there.
Yeah, got it.
Yep.
Who makes up the, how much are we charging on lodging tax? How much at the, hotel motel tax?
That is a council,
Is it
decision,
council?
just like what we pay or charge on utilities. Council can adjust those and make those. I mean, obviously, we need to have a workshop and a, public hearing, and you can change and adjust those rates.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
No, I just would like to know what the actual mounting amount, because I don't see it on this for what council, mayor, and all that is.
Okay, I can get
And I
that
see
detail
things
for
as
you.
low as 100, so I just like to see that it's on the budget.
Yeah, because it went up this year, it goes up next year. It was 9,600 each,
What was 90, what are you doing?
pay for council members.
Oh,
That was included in the budget. We calculated it in the salaries, what would be for the additional increase for 26.
so we will get that, a list, we will take that chart, break it down there, and then we will show you exactly what we've got for the legislative, it's a legislative budget. That will show city council, it will show the mayor, it'll show the mayor's expenses, which are 0 last year, 0 this year, 0 in the budget. What we have for city council of the dollars that were spent and the budget for that.
We can't, you're so rich.
I'm here to tell you, it's not my job to spend their money. So, all right. Any other questions or comments on that? Any questions from community? All right, the time is 8:16, and we will go back into our city council meeting.
Motion to end meeting?
What?
I have a first and a second. 8:16, 8:17. Have a great night, everyone.